So I didn't know this, that you guys have never done an interview about the famed 2013 NFC Championship postgame.
What I should have fucking done is not turned into the excited sports fan that I was and been like, who was talking about you? Just be like, who are you talking about?
That's my problem, because I was talking like we were just talking. Like,
Yeah,
I was
it was
continuing
great.
our conversation from earlier. I'm like, remember? Like,
Yeah,
all this shit. Like, what's up?
Calm Down with Erin and Charissa is a production of iHeartRadio.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a long time coming. Richard Sherman reunited, and it feels so good. Two of my favorite people, Erin and Sherman, a group hug right now. I love it. Richard Sherman, 5-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion, and Stanford grad. That's not my resume, folks. Only the resume of one Richard Sherman. I'm so happy that you're here with us. Thank you for coming on Calm Down.
No, I appreciate you guys having me. It's always a pleasure to get to speak to you two lovely ladies.
Oh, gosh.
Our guy. He's been our guy for how long, Charissa? I mean, I got to meet him. What year did we officially fall in love, Sherm? What year was that?
Probably 13, right?
Probably before, but 13 was the official, to the world. But I think it was like 12.
Yeah.
It was like 12.
And that was the day when I met him in the cafeteria and with all the boys, because that's when and Jarrett, my husband, is blown away by this. The Seahawks used to come in their cafeteria when the boys were sitting down. I would get in the smoothie line, ask them what they wanted. But that's when I decided I wanted to, if I ever came back as a football player, I would want to be Sherm.
So I didn't know this, that you guys have never done an interview about the famed 2013 NFC Championship postgame interview. So here's the tease.
We should have done a Snickers commercial too. We should have done a lot of commercials, but people
we should
were
have done a commercial
stupid and slow.
Right.
And I wanted a second question. So here,
Beats was the only one on it.
Yeah, but you and I, we should have had a Snickers. We should have had, like, Obama made a joke about it. Like, there was a famous Halloween in the Wall Street Journal. There was a famous kids Halloween costume. Like, he and I, all of you advertisers, you missed out. And even when he went to San Francisco, I went to Mars and I had a whole idea for a Snickers deal. Like, I'd give him the candy bar and then he'd be in a 49ers uniform. People don't listen. It's fine.
So this is what
I know. I know.
Sherm, you know how much we love Erin. Erin's always that business brain of hers. She's always thinking. So I love that. So I want to get into that interview and just set the stage, and then we can talk about all the other things. Oh, we are going to go right there because to me, remember, I'm the Seattle. I'm the 12th man here. I am the fan of and Erin and you and I were friends, but not the friends that we are now. So I'm sitting there watching that game in real time. I at the time was also a sideline reporter, so I'm looking at it from your vantage point, but then also from a Seattle fan and watching Sherm's emotion. So set the stage, Sherm, you go first. Is the PR guy bringing you over to Erin? Like, how did this thing all go down? And the
I may remember it differently than you, because you actually were like adrenaline 3 million gajillion. Can we fuck that? Can we go rewind a little bit more? Can you take me, and even as lame as that my question was that day, just what was that final play, Sherm? Can you just take us through that?
Well, it all happens fast when it's 2 minutes. So they were in 2 minutes. And I promise you throughout the whole, because I hadn't got a target the whole game. I had they hadn't thrown it over there the entire game. And I think the only reason I got a chance was because it was 2 minutes and they couldn't draw up a play to avoid me. It was just whatever Colin's choice was at the time. And they had been driving down the field. They hit Frank on like a 3rd and long. Like, we had him stopped. We had game. And they hit Frank on like a 3rd and long, and he got the first down. Then they hit Vernon. Wow. Then they hit Crab on the other side. So they were like marching down the field, and I'm like, bro.
I don't remember this. I just remember you. I don't remember this. I'm freaking out.
I was freaking out because I'm like, bro, we're about to lose this game, and they're not even gonna give me a shot at the ball and not a shot to get involved at all the whole game. I'm gonna go the whole game without getting involved. And then they hurried up to the line, and Crab had like way too fidgety at the line of scrimmage. So I'm like, there's no way. Like, you getting the ball right now, but I don't really like your maneuver. Like, you moving too excitable. At corner, when you're that intimate with somebody every goddamn play, you can tell, it's like seeing the same person every day and looking at them in their eyes, and then they got a little bit of
twitch.
You know what I mean? You're like,
really? That happens? Like, you can tell?
No question. Hey, ask receivers when they having a good day and they see the corner and they see him like with fear in his eyes, or you know what I mean, like fidgety, they're gonna be like, hey, Like, I'm about to
get
feast.
Work.
Like, I'm about to,
Wow.
it's about to get work. It's just going to be work out here. So
what's the down and distance and how much time is left? I don't remember any of this.
It was 1st and 10. It was 1st and 10 because they had just got a first down, I think, to Vernon. And so they were excitable. There was no pressure on him. He had time. I think there might have been like maybe 30 seconds to go, but they had timeouts, and they were like right on the red zone, right outside the red zone.
Yeah.
And Crab gives me this stutter outside release. So I'm like, okay, we're outside. We're either going 9 ball or you're going a stop route, but I'm not stopping on no stop route because I don't care about that. You need a touchdown to win. Like if you run a hitch, I'll come tackle you and then we'll get the next play.
They have to go.
So he runs a little stutter. They got to go to the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
He runs a stutter. I look at him, read it. He turns around. We go. I turn around, look for the ball, and Colin puts it up. And I'm like, for the game? Yes! Yes! Finally! I'm about to end this. And
what are you thinking? I'm
thinking catch it. I'm thinking I'm about to pick this. This is about to be a layup. And so I go up, and then I feel his hand in my back, and I'm like, there's no f***ing way it's about to happen like this. And so as I'm getting pushed, I'm like, I can't catch it anymore because I'm too far forward. And so I'm like, oh, I got left, and I got full hand on the ball. I was like, I'm going to keep it in. I know Earl or somebody's going to be here. And, of course, it was Malcolm and not Earl. But we had done that. Me and Earl had done it earlier in the season against the Giants in New York, which is crazy, ironically. But I had tipped it in. I had got 2 interceptions in the game, but I had tipped one in, and Earl came and caught the tip in the end zone, same corner and everything, and picked it. So I thought it was going to be another situation like that, but it was Malcolm this time.
Shit.
And then what I know what happened next. Take us through what you remember.
Well, it was chaos. It was a bunch of people grabbed me and shit. I was like, no, I got to go see this man. I'm about to go look him in his eye and tell him.
Oh, you did? I missed that. Yeah.
I jogged over there and slapped him on the butt. I said, good game. Oh,
yeah, that's right.
You know what it was. You know what I mean? Better man won.
And so then, the precursor to this was that you guys were talking shit all week, right? Was that what this was about? Because Aaron,
no. This was in the summer. CT, This go way back.
Because I knew...
We had a production meeting that Friday with the Seahawks, and Joe and Troy had not met Sherm yet. And I had already done a couple of games. I was on Kyle Shanahan, Kevin Burkhardt, John Lynch's crew at the time. And we had done a ton of Seahawks games, and that's how we got to know Sherm. And so then I got moved to the big boy team for the playoffs, and I was like, you guys are going to die. This guy's awesome. He's my fucking favorite. Like, you're going to love it. And you can tell right away when you sit with Sherm or, even in a production meeting, outside of a production meeting, the guy's smart. And, Troy loves that. He just wants to not test you, but like, let me see it how you see it. And I remember they just started asking you about Crabtree, and you were so honest. And it was one of those, I had my laptop, we're all taking notes. And it was one of those where you don't hear, well, you do, but when you do, you're like,
not often are people that honest.
He was just honest, and we all laughed, and we were like,
CT, as you see.
Stop. It's great.
Takes one to know one. And that's also why you're the best teammate, though, now on Thursday Night Football, of course, and we'll get into all that in a minute, but that's what you want. You want that as a reporter. You want that as an interviewer. You want that as a teammate, because you know what you're going to get in that situation. Okay, so all that's going down, and Erin, what's happening in your world at this moment?
Well, up until that play, we were kind of trying to figure out. I was trying to remember, Sherm, who had a good game offensively. It's like, do we get?
Marshawn had a good game. Curse had caught the game, leading touchdown. But it would have been hard. It would have been hard because they had some guys that were having a good game too. Defensively, they had a good game. They were feeling good.
I was just trying to remember the questions, and I was like, all right. But then obviously, Sherm's play happens, and it was like, I'm going. Like, we're live, we're going. They're going to take it, we're going. And as he said, I just remember craziness. What I remember, and I've seen it on films, which is cool, you do the Deportes interview first. Yes. Yeah. And I just stood there. What I did was I stood, and I was so thankful. I have goosebumps right now because I love you so much. But I was so grateful that we had that relationship because I found you. I just went right to you. I didn't even look to see if PR was there. I saw you do Deportes, and in my mind, we weren't live yet. And once Joe threw to me, no offense to that guy, I was going to Sherm his ass and push him and be like, all right, we're live. Because like, no offense, we're ready. And I actually think I held on to your back to like keep hold of you to be like, I'm here. I did that to Matthew after the NFC Championship last year. I'm just like, I'm just going to stay with you and follow you when it's live. I'm going to make you do this. So that's what I remember.
Right. And so, yeah, I did the port test. And so we had a relationship too, he and I.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? He just, yeah, we go way back. And so,
he's great.
And so he had just came up first. And so, you know what I mean? Nobody said anything. And so he's trying to translate and do his thing. And I'm trying to give him the interview. I'm like, you know, and then you come up and I'm like, yeah, what are we doing? And I give you a hug, and I didn't realize.
So hard. I hit my chin
on your... so much shoulder.
Yes, I nailed my chin, and I went, oh my God, because I was so excited for you. And I had known all the smack talk that had happened, and you made the play, and I was like, oh my God, yes.
Oh, man, you would have been in concussion protocol nowadays.
Not this girl. I could handle it.
Talk about it.
Yeah, you know me. Come on now.
So that question, Erin, I've heard you say that you wish you could redo the interview. Why are you so critical of that? Because it's such a great, just like raw moment for both of you guys.
Right.
Because of many things. I love this man a lot. And I knew what happened after and why I got vocal after, because I didn't want anyone to think he was scaring me. He wasn't fucking scaring me. I was like, all right, we'll break it down. My first question sucked ass. Richard, the final play. I'm not mad at that. Take me through it. I should have been like, what happened? Just say like a fan, what happened? Not take me through it. That's not even a fucking question. Like you should have said, that's a stupid question, EA. What happened? Like, what happened? And then you go. And look, my face, and I've said it the whole time, wasn't like, oh my God, he's scaring me. I'm freaked out. This athlete is yelling at me. No, it was, this is fucking awesome. This has never happened. People are going to lose their minds that this is happening. and I have to let him just go. But I was thinking at that time, has he said Crabtree? Because I know it's Crabtree. Joe and Troy know it's Crabtree, but I don't want people to think he's screaming about me. Don't you ever talk about me again. I know he's not saying that. But what I should have fucking done is not turned into the excited sports fan that I was and been like, who was talking about you? Just be like, what are you talking about? Like, just fucking be like that, EA. It's like when I met Jason Sudeikis. Like, get your shit together, girl. That's my own problem, Sherm. That's not yours.
And look. And that's my problem, because I was talking like we were just talking. Like I was continuing our conversation from earlier. I'm like, remember? Like, all this shit. Like, what's up? Like, you know what it is. And it was too hype. I was too hype at the moment. You know, I mean, all the stuff with Hardball, with Crab, you know, it was a smorgasbord of wins for me that day. And I was, you know, and obviously I was comfortable with you, as we always are. And so I was like, I was going to give you the straight up.
It was so good. And I know Erin's going to be critical of that, whatever. And you know what's crazy, you guys? It's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
2013 NFC Championship game. Like, damn. And look, okay, so now Sherm being on the other side, of course, you know, went on to play in San Francisco. We've got the Sherm Bowl this week on Thursday Night Football between the Niners and the Seahawks in Seattle, which I'm so excited for. That incredible game that Erin just worked yesterday. Brock Purdy's performance. So I would love, put your analyst hat on, which is the same hat as friend, as businessman. It's all the same. What did you see yesterday from that young man and this team that continues to overcome the injuries and pick up? And then, of course, you've got Debo. So kind of give me your analyst view of what happened yesterday.
Well, he's fearless. And you would think he's done it before. You know, you wouldn't think he was a rookie. You would think he at least was a veteran. A low drafted guy, you know what I mean? He didn't walk into that game against Tom Brady as a fan. He walked in that game like, I'm about to slice and dice this defense. That's a top 10 defense in the National Football League. So this isn't like the Miami Dolphins are aggressive. We talked about the zero blitz scheme, like and how sloppy that can get. But this is Todd Bowles' coach defense. They're top 10. They know how to play. And he gives you some of the most exotic looks you'll get. And he was just shredding them.
We lost Vita Vea after the first series. So what happened? Why? Why was he shredding in the way they were? Todd, who I love, said penalties. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. Why? What else? There's so many weapons on that San Francisco team, or what?
I mean, it's definitely too many weapons, but he was creating when there wasn't anything there. Like, and that's the big difference between he and Jimmy G is that the play in the red zone where he ran it in would have likely probably either been a sack or a throwaway for Jimmy because they had it covered. It was a good zone. They picked up everybody. Like, there was nowhere to go with the football. So if you don't run it in there, you either throw it into a tight window or likely interception, or you throw it away. And he said, I'm going to be athletic enough to just run this in. Y'all can't stop us anyway. And that gives them a different dynamic than they've had with Jimmy G. So Kyle Shanahan was talking about the transition from like Trey Lance to Jimmy G to Brock Purdy. And he was like, the transition from Jimmy G to Brock Purdy was really small. It was minimal. The playbook's the same. We call the same plays. We might even call more plays.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you brought it up, Erin, in your broadcast. This guy's been going up against the best defense in the NFL out on the scout team, but he just didn't look like he hesitated. You know those moments like you put your people in a situation and they're like second guessing themselves? Like we don't have to tell you, everything happens in a split second. So that's what observing and watching it just looked like he didn't hesitate on anything.
We made a joke to him because Kyle said it, Kittle said it. Everybody was talking about his balls all week, like cojones. Like, and so he comes on our Zoom and we're like, hey, nice to meet you. Congratulations. Greg's like, I feel like all I've been reading about is your balls all week. It's so weird.
He's like, yeah, they're hanging to my kneecaps right now. I try to keep them up.
But Sherm, you know, and those guys don't BS around. When you've got Trent Williams in game, tell you how happy he was in the game, comes over and hugs me and is like, how about this guy? Fred Warner, I mean, they're talking, like, hyping this guy up. They're not doing that if this guy isn't that good. They're not doing it to save the season.
No, because they can't. You know what I mean? They're happy because they know they still have a chance.
That's
and
awesome.
They have as great of a chance now as when they started the football season.
Oh, my God.
And it makes you comfortable to be out there when guys are giving you that kind of support. You know, because then you don't feel like you're in the middle of the ocean without a paddle. You feel like, hey, I'm just part of the train. You know what I mean? I don't have to be the conductor. All these other guys have been here. They've done that. They're with me. They're punching with me. So it's like, you're not in a fight by yourself.
But on the other side of the ball is the defensive perspective for you. We saw, Mike White goes out and has that crazy performance, right? Because there's not tape on this guy. So what happens from a defensive perspective? And there's only going to be a small sample size because we're at the end of the season here. But are you looking at like, all right, this kid, few more games on film, now we know his weaknesses here and there. And do you think that it will be sort of do you think it's just sustainable what he's been able to do in this short amount of time?
They need Debo.
That works for guys like if it's a running scheme or if it's a scheme you just haven't, like when Justin Fields first started to run the ball and you're like, golly, like damn, we need to put these stunts in and put a spy on him and do this and make these adjustments. He's playing quarterback. Like it's not like you're going to get on the tape and be like he's not doing zone read and all that nonsense. He's standing in the pocket and delivering the football. So I think it's harder to say, oh, this is just a flash in the pan and it's going to sizzle out. He's not doing anything. It's not like he's playing bad defenses.
This goes to, as I walked off with Kyle going into the half, which I was kind of bummed about because coming out, I thought he'd have more info on Debo, but I had heard rumblings that it wasn't that bad, which good news for them. Hope he gets over the high ankle sprain. But I just asked Kyle, what do you think of your guy in the first half? And he's like, he's playing fucking awesome. He's like being mad. And this was the time that I wish I could cuss on air. Kind of like when you and I did our thing. It was like, the guy's playing his ass off. It's like, well, Kevin, Kyle Shanahan said he's playing really well. I wanted to be like, said he's playing fucking awesome. But to go back to our thing, I've always wanted to ask you this because I can tell the story about when I started to see it blow up and I was like, I did Dan Patrick in the morning right away to give my side of it to stick up for you. But I was on a plane.
I appreciate that.
Obviously, on a plane with Stray and our boss from Fox. And I started seeing stuff on Twitter and I was like, you guys, this is getting bad. Like, we have to say something. And the president of Fox Sports, Eric Shank, said, let's help you come up with something because we love Sherm. This is what we love about those post-game interviews. We die for something like this. We want players to do something like this.
Be natural and react in the moment.
Be natural, not do a rehearsed bit, not,
one game at a time.
When did you know, because you had a ton of interviews, you then had to go into a press conference. When did you know, like, all right, this has gone nuts?
Well, after all the press conference, so we're always the last ones in the locker room. It's always me, Earl, Cam, Like one of us is going to be last. And so I was standing there with Steve Weish. And he was just asking me like little questions about the game, about the subtleties, about this, about Crabtree and all that. And he was like, hey, that interview you did, like, it's getting a lot of traction. And I was like, what do you mean? I mean, that I didn't think,
it was pure emotion.
I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm like, did I lie? I spoke the truth. I'm like, did I curse? I'm like, I don't think I cursed.
You
so
didn't.
I'm thinking like, what
Jermaine
did I miss?
But that's it. No, seriously though. But it's we love you for so many reasons. For me working with you, prior to Erin even, having that moment, authenticity is a big thing, and it's something that we all personally know that we love about each other, but people in this business, and just in general, just in humanity. For you, was it difficult after you knew that you were going to be done playing? When was that decision made? So we know that you went, San Francisco, then you played with the Bucs for that short stint. Did you know that you wanted to be done and enter the broadcasting world, or sort of like walk us through when you say, all right, maybe it's time to make that decision, or the decision is now? I mean, kind of when you made that turn?
Well, I don't know if I ever actually like had a concrete moment where I was like, it's done.
Yeah.
But I think the moment that I knew it was going to be tough was I had a great week of practice. I had came off, I was kind of beat up. Obviously, I had done the 3 games straight and then had a muscle strain, which is expected off of 3 games straight with no rest and no real preparation. And so then I was coming back from it, and I had a good week of practice. I had 3 interceptions in practice. I'm feeling great. I said, oh, man, like I'm about to show them today. Like I'm finally feeling like I'm in rhythm. CT. We got our helmets on, we got our pads on, we go out for the initial warm-up. Like, I'm jogging out. We do the break. Like, you know what I mean? Bucks on 3, 1, 2, 3, buck. Jogging out on the field. My calf said, pop! I said, whoa.
Wow.
Whoa.
What just happened? Did you know in that moment?
No, I said, let me check it. I said, okay. I start jogging. Now, they've already declared the 46 man. So they've already declared the inactives. So I start jogging, and I'm like it's pain. It's sharp and getting sharper with like every step. It's getting sharper. I'm like, there's no fucking way.
I think I had this game.
I just strained my calf in the damn warm-up.
Yeah, I had this game.
And you want to know the hardest conversation? To go to the head coach, to go to the BA and be like, BA, I'm out. It's like in the warm-up.
Not Antonio Brown out. You're like, literally, not take your shirt off out. Yeah.
Right. I said, hey, I can't play. I was like, my calf strain. I can't even, I can barely walk. And he's like, you're joking with me right now. And I was like, I wish I was. Like, I got nothing. That's when I knew it was going to be tough. I said, I went to the locker room. I sat in that training room. I said, you got to be fucking kidding me. And that was when I was like, this whole body might be telling you that's enough.
Because you didn't want it to be. You still wanted to be out there. You still wanted to be going. And so then you said,
I still felt good. I felt good. I felt great that week. And you going, I'm going. I'm ready to kill it. And then it just shut it down. I said, okay, well, good for you, buddy. Good for you.
So the TNF, the broadcasting experience thus far. I'm having the privilege of sitting next to you on that set. How it is incredible, and you're a host's dream because you just know that you're always going to be prepared. You're always going to be able to speak on anything and do it with such emotion. But how is the experience? Take you and I like working together out of it. How has it been for you just in general?
It's been a lot of fun, and I wish I could take us out of it, but that's why it's been fun. We got such a cool crew, and I think the team matters, and I think the team, from the producers, from the stage staff, the media staff, Amy and those guys, Amina, Marie and the execs, Jay and Jared, and it's just a cool place. Then you got Smitty and Tay. Myra, you got everybody, it's just a fun place. It makes the experience fun. So I think that's made everything a lot easier because I'm having a blast anyway. I get to go to the games. We get to have a blast, sit there, talk the game, shoot the stuff.
Yeah.
And then they pay us to be on TV.
I know.
And then we got a great captain.
He goes, at one point, I can't believe we get paid to do this. But Erin, and this is like our crews become our family. And you have spent, Erin, the better 20 years on the road with various different crews, whether it was at ESPN and of course at Fox for this part of your career. But it's like you get so close with these guys that they become your brothers and your family.
And you do with the players
together.
Too. Mm-hmm. Yep. And you do with the players too, especially teams that you see a lot. I was really tight with that Seahawks team. When I wasn't able to be on their sidelines, Pam did their sidelines. I was on the Broncos. I was a mess. Like that hurt. I wanted to be with my boys. And like their PR was inviting me to their party that night when y'all won in New York. So yeah, you become really, really tight. Sherm, what is something about this side of the camera maybe that you didn't know about? I mean, you'd been in front of a lot of cameras when you did this with that, us and we interviewed you and stuff like that. But what's the one thing that's like, all right, this is a tad different?
Yeah, it was what you were talking about earlier, but you're not giving yourself enough credit. Interviewing is hard.
Love you.
Interviewing is tough. Like knowing, because you got to be reactive off of somebody else. You got to have prepared questions, and then you got to know when to throw the script away and just go with what the moment is. And even in the moment, you got to know how much I'm letting them just breathe and let them go, or how much I need to get this question in, and then I got a time limit, and I got people in my ear, and it's like, good night.
How about the people in your ear business, huh? That's a whole other level, right?
That's a whole other level.
Yeah.
I had to like wear a somber face to not laugh because I get too goofy on camera. So they'll say something in my ear and I'll just be like,
no, it's one of them. I mean, this guy, the other day, he's leaning into the desk, Erin, and it's a black surface desk. So there's a reflection. He's making sure he doesn't have any boogers in his nose. So I don't need any bats in the cave. And like, he doesn't know if we're on TV or not on TV. Like this guy just saying it. So the moment that stands out to me, and it's well documented, your critique of Russell Wilson, and there's a whole backstory to that. But I know that you also are still a good person and you do care about people. But that moment when we're standing in Denver and you lost your shit and said, run the ball. Like that was like my Erin moment on the sideline with you just like losing. And I was like, well, this is going to be fun with this dude. But it's just who you are.
Right. I wish I could turn it off, but I can't.
I had a Rams game that we were prepping for that weekend. So you guys were on my TV right here. We were on a Zoom getting ready for the Rams game, and Bobby came on. And we started talking to him, and I said, hey, I got your boy on right here on the pregame. He is just fired up. He's like, I got to get home and watch this.
How do you summarize that time, the Legion of Boom, and that 10 years and just that run that you guys had? I think in totality, how many years did you have in Seattle?
7.
You had 7. Okay, so between 7, 8, that run that you guys went on, how do you put into words that experience? Because such a great group, but just even the back-to-back Super Bowls and what you guys did in that city. I mean, my nieces and nephews, it was like Blue Friday, and like it just changed that whole place.
It was unbelievable. It's hard to really put that into words because it was so unexpected, but kind of expected a little bit. You know what I mean? So it's hard to because we worked really hard and it started so early on that people aren't going to believe it whenever they do the documentary about it. But during the lockout, because that's when I got drafted, it was a lockout year. We weren't allowed in locker rooms or nothing. We weren't allowed to talk to the teams even when you got drafted. And I had flown out to Seattle on my own dime. And I was staying with Walt Thurman, and all we had was each other. And so we would go to Earl's house. Earl had a house on the lake, and we'd just hang out there. And, everybody would be there. We'd shoot the stuff, and then we go to LA Fitness and hoop. And, we ride his jet skis, and Walt lost his shorts on the jet ski. We were pulling each other. We were doing dumb stuff. We were young.
Not in the contract.
Right. Yeah. We're not under contract right now. We locked out.
Yeah.
But we go to play at LA Fitness at the Landing in Renton, down the street from the facility. And Jamal Crawford is there. It's probably 30, 35 people there. And
Rainier Beach. Those are hoops.
Right.
Yeah, they run. Right. They get some good runs in with those guys.
They get some really good runs. And so it's me, Cam, Earl, and Walt. Our team. And awesome. I think we had one other guy, one random guy. But we were running them off. First off, I thought Cam was LeBron that day because his jumper was falling. They're going shot for shot, him and Jamal. I'm like, okay, Cam. And then lo and behold, that was his best day ever. He was just in rhythm that day. He's not normally like that. But but we're communicating, like we're playing great defense. Like we were not losing a game that day. And we had never really played with each other. We had never really, it was like the second day of us meeting, second or third day. And it was just such an amazing chemistry and like togetherness. And it was like, all right, y'all dudes are pretty cool. So fast forward through our first season, we get closer and closer. I don't start till the 6th game of the season, but when I first start, Earl comes up to me. He's like, hey, if they ever come inside, if they ever release inside, I got them. Don't even worry about it. Like, so play for the fade, play for the goal. Like, if they go inside, I got you. And we had Victor Cruz that day. We had Victor Cruz and all his little,
Yeah,
and so
his
I'm playing
salsa
for the fade.
dancing.
His salsa dancing.
Mm-hmm.
So I play for the fade. He breaks me to the fade and goes inside. I'm like, shit. Like, so I'm head down, like, damn it. Like, I'm getting beat. Like, this is my first, I'm getting significant playing time. I didn't start the game, but I'm getting a lot of play time. Here comes Earl. Picks the ball off. And I'm like, okay, all right, now we cooking with grease out here. Like, it's such a trust, And so it developed then, and obviously fast forward over time, our relationships, our trust, like, they're like my brothers, we know each other's kids, we know each other's families, go to everybody's, kids' birthdays, and so when it came down to football, that was just like, you're playing with your family. Like, we got really good players, we playing with our family. So then when mistakes happen or adversity happens, it's not like, man, everybody's pointing fingers. It's like, hey, y'all good? Like, it's fun, ain't it? Like, well, get up off the ground. We down 21, but we about to come back. We got it.
So good. Hey, so that defense, obviously, I don't need to tell you just how unbelievable you guys were. And you and I have talked offline about Dan Quinn, who I know every time we interview him with the Cowboys, he goes on and on. When he compares players, your name is always brought up. When he talks about his secondary, your name is always brought up. I'm dying to ask you, with a Dan Quinn defense, is that the defense in Dallas that could slow down the Philadelphia Eagles? I have them Christmas Eve. If I have to choose a sideline, who's the winning sideline? What am I looking at here? And that could very well be, I don't know if they can be an NFC Championship game. I don't think that's possible. They could be probably the divisional, right? I'm not sure. My math blows. I'm not good at this. But if we see them in postseason, we'll see them Christmas Eve. What do you think about that matchup? Because they're the two hottest ones.
It could happen. It'd be a long shot because you need
San Francisco.
You need them to win and a 6 or 7 seed to win. Now, many could lose. You know what I mean? So you could theoretically, like, you could have Heineke or somebody go up there and be hot as fish grease, or Detroit be as hot as they are and go up there and cause problems for somebody. But but I would say yes. I would say Dan Quinn defense with the personnel that he has and him feeling good and trusting his guys and having the corners that he has. He trusts his corners. Obviously, they had an injury, but Diggs is really good. They got the pass rush. They have the linebackers. They have the safeties. So, yes, I think he could slow it down. And they did. They did in the first game for the most part.
Yeah.
But offensively, that's where you're concerned. They're not like, that's why when Jordan Davis coming back with Sue now and Linville, like they don't have the glaring holes and weaknesses that they did the first time they had, where you should be able to just run it down their throat.
I want to ask about the Bucs. I want to ask what's wrong with the Bucs. I gotta. Sorry.
Go. No, go. I just want to go. You go first.
I'm just dying to know what's wrong with the Bucs.
The offensive line. The offensive line, and then that has just spooked Tom. You know what I mean? Like, he don't have any trust. Like, he has an immense trust in his ability to stand back there, and like, that's why he's not pushing the ball down the field very often, because he don't think he has the time to do it. And every time he does, something bad happens, like it's a holding call or somebody's coming to rock his boat.
Is that what's off with him and Evans? We were talking about that after the game. We were like, what's going on there?
That probably it's probably a number of things, like, and it's just no rapport. You know what I mean? That people are. There's not a huge deal like him not coming to training camp, but that is the time a lot of dudes build that foundation, that trust, that cohesion of like, hey, that rapport. And they've played together for a number of years now, so it shouldn't have been that far off.
I was going to say they played together. So what is that?
Yeah, this some of it is unexplainable. Some of it I just don't really have answers. The offensive line, losing Jensen, losing Tristan, losing the guards, like. If they would have came back with Kappa and, you know what I mean, and the exact same line, I think they'd be the exact same team. I mean, they'd be similar. They lost Shaq on defense, which is their leading rusher. He's the kingpin of what they do in the pass rush game. they've been beat up in the secondary. Winfield's missed a bunch of games, and some of the guys just aren't playing up to the level they've played before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, going back for your career, and this is a psychological question, but like of emotion, was the emotion harder to lose? Like, did you feel the loss of a Super Bowl, or was it better to win, kind of a thing? Like, of course, it's better to win. What I'm trying to say was the emotion more intense losing or winning a Super Bowl?
Losing.
Because
I mean, just because of how I'm built, I hate losing more than I love winning.
You hate losing more than you love winning.
I love winning. Yeah, I hate losing. You know what I mean? That's what drives me more. It's not the desire to win. It's the I hate to lose. I refuse. And when you lose, you're just like.
And compounded in the way that loss happened. Do you think it was worse because you guys thought you had won that Super Bowl?
And no, it was harder because of what we had went through to get there. What we had to overcome to get there. You go through the NFC Championship and that freaking chaotic emotional game where you're down 16-0 at the half to the MVP of the National Football League. You've had everything bad that could happen to you, and you felt like you've played a pretty good game defensively. Then then I hurt my elbow, and Earl tears his labrum in his shoulder, and you're just out there like one arm and one shoulder, and we're like, we're gonna battle to the end. We don't expect to win. We're down 19-3, and they're like, hey, do you want to go to the locker room and get X-ray with 10 minutes to go in the game? They're like, I mean, it's not looking great. I'm like, nah, I'm a soldier this out. We're gonna at least die on the sword, you know what I mean, with our guys and go out here, and then we come back and win it. And then to get back to the Super Bowl and then be all beat up like we are, shoulder. And then the day before the Super Bowl, Cam tears his MCL. And you're like,
Jesus.
And then so you got all this on your back, and you're like, we're battling. So that's where it hurt more, where it's like we've sacrificed so much to get here. We're already playing through so much pain, through so much expectation. And then for that to happen, you're just like, like, all right.
Yeah.
That's I would have preferred to die on the sword.
Hey, do you think if after that first Super Bowl win, a lot of people don't know this. I do, because I was trying to make it happen. But then unfortunately you got hurt in that Super Bowl. If you hadn't gotten hurt and you had, like originally thought, competed on Dancing with the Stars, you probably would have won that mirror ball, wouldn't you?
I think I would have had a chance.
I knew you would have, and I was pissed because I was like, my man is coming on my show. I'm hosting. It's going to be a whole thing.
Oh, if I wouldn't have won, I would have made it exciting. I would have made it exciting. Yeah.
It would have been real.
Damn show made it exciting.
Sherm, you've got the Richard Sherman podcast. Your dream podcast guest is?
Ooh.
Oh, well, rest in peace. It would have been Muhammad Ali. I would have had a lot of questions for him. I would have had a ton. Kobe Bean, a good friend. Again, rest in peace. But those are probably the two that I would need on the show. And we would, hey, time limits. Turn the time off, because we got a lot to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to... Go ahead.
No, I just was going to ask you, it's the question that we were all thinking when we left that stadium yesterday, and if we potentially see them weeks 17 to 18 on Fox, I'm not sure. If you are Vegas and you are San Francisco and you are loaded on both ends, do you try to get Tom Brady, and do you think he'll go there next year?
If you're the Vegas Raiders, and you're talking about Tom going to Vegas?
That was McAfee's whole thing today. I hadn't even thought about Vegas. We were saying, and I flat out said to John Lynch, keep us updated on San Francisco.
I thought you said Vegas. Oh, my
bad.
I
did. I said both. McAfee's talking Vegas today because of McDaniels and what they have on offense and how they're all in on defense. There's also the San Francisco part. Now, who knows what's going to happen personally with his kids are on the East Coast. He's got a son in New York, but I'd love to do some home games in San Francisco.
He's an East Coast guy. But yeah, I mean, he's a California kid, but the East Coast, he's been East Coast for the last 25 years. And
Kyle is
I got one for you.
Him.
New Orleans Saints. Sean Payton goes back to New Orleans and takes Tom with him. Watch it
but
work.
Are they stacked on either one of those teams?
When they get
he's on the East end.
Offensively, they have enough.
And
offensively,
defensively,
they have enough.
they get healthy.
They get healthy. They probably need another corner.
That division is terrible. Right. He's in it.
And he's been in it.
He loves Sean.
It was the whole Miami thing originally that was supposed to be them. Like, I don't know. I just don't feel like that's also...
I think it's a lower probability he goes to San Francisco than he does... than that craziness of New Orleans. Of going with Sean. That would probably, because San Francisco, it just would be, if Purdy does anything this year, and it's going to be hard for him not to. Like, if he's playing like he is now, if he just plays like a normal, it'll be like Rich Gannon and Dilfer when they took those defensively strong teams to those Super Bowls, and you're like, I mean, you didn't have to do anything but not mess it up. And he's doing more than that. Don't take anything away from him. He's doing more than that, but that's all he has to do is not mess the game up. Like, if they get in the playoffs and they have a run of like, hey, maybe in the first round they got the Giants, second round they got Minnesota, third round they get to the NFC Championship and got the Eagles, that'll be like.
But then I want to know about Super Bowl. Super Bowl, I had San Francisco KC this year, and the defense couldn't keep up. Now, they were injured, D'Amico Ryan said, but do you like second matchup, San Francisco, Kansas City? Now that they've, been a part of that blowout, can they handle it?
I think they're more than up to the task. I think pride, that's a hard thing in this league. Like, you blow a team out, like, you piss them off. Like, because they're still grown men with pride.
Yeah.
And they're a really talented team on top of that. Like,
they didn't have Eric Armstead in that game, too.
And he's the kingpin. He's the one that, and you might have Javon Kinlaw back by then as well. Like, and so it gets crazier for San Francisco as they get healthy. And every year it seems like this. They're beat up early, and then later on you're like, oh, yeah, they got that guy. Oh, what about that guy's coming back? Oh, yeah, and that guy. And, like Elijah Mitchell's coming back, and he'll come back just in time. And you'll look up and you'll be like, damn.
Look at them. Sherman, you have a sign behind you. It says, work hard and be nice to people. You do both of those very, very well. We love you. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time. Make sure you guys check out the Richard Sherman podcast. And Thursday Night Football will be in Seattle for the Sherman Bowl. It won't be boring. Love you.
It will. Love you, too. Appreciate
you
guys. Love you.
Calm Down with Erin and Charissa is a production of iHeartRadio.
For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.